course, when we do have a winner there, we'll be happy, excuse me, to announce it. But we turn our attention to these two fantastic players getting ready to do battle here. Boettcher and Tenjum, number 13 and 16 respectively, on our Season 3 leaderboard. In our quarterfinals, they're underway. Tenjum will start with a creeping tar pit. Boettcher draws a copy of Delver's Secrets for the turn. You can also see a Stoneforge Mystic in his hand. He's already got the Batter Skull as well. He will play a Tundra. He will sacrifice his Misty Rainforest and deploy a Stoneforge Mystic. And we will see if that resolves, and it looks like it will.
Yeah, Tenjum armed with Abrupt Decay, so even if he had Force of Will, may not want to pick this battle right now against a deck with Daze. Also, while we're on the top of Modern, for you Modern enthusiasts, congratulations. Wizards announced today that Modern Pro Tour is coming back.
Yeah, Pro Tour Washington, D.C. That'll be a Modern Pro Tour. So for all you Modern fans out there, and I'm certainly one of them, that's pretty cool to see.
In response to popular outcry.
The community was angry.
Arr. Arr.
Tenjum will draw a card here. It's a copy of Misty Rainforest. See if he wants to fire this Abrupt Decay now or later. He's going to sacrifice the Rainforest right now. We'll see what land he does want to go get here. I do agree with you, however. This is a difficult matchup here for Mr. Boettcher, but he was able to overcome not one, not two, but 3 difficult matchups earlier this morning to be the Standard Open champion.
Yeah, his Black Splash Blue Devotion deck with no sideboard cards for aggressive deck speed. White Weenie and then Rabble Red twice en route to winning that tournament.
It's a Baleful Strix here from Tenjum, so he will be cantripping here in just a moment, we assume. And we'll see if Tenjum is just trying to save this Abrupt Decay for the Batter Skull token, for example, for the germ that it does make. Tenjum draws a Verdant Catacombs off of that. A Wastelander to draw here for Boettcher. There's a chance we may see him fire that off. Go after Tenjum's lands a little bit.
Yeah, the mana base on Charlotte's Bug is a little bit on the shaky side. Also keep in mind Jared with a slightly different build of Blue-White Red Delver, playing 3-mana Stifle, something we rarely see in this deck.
See Boettcher slide his lands over, so you know he's got one of those to play. You can certainly see him in his hand. This will be a Tundra. Now Jared's going to go with a copy of Delver's Secrets, so that's going to resolve. And just pass the turn back over to Tenjum, who will untap those 2 lands. He will draw a card. It's a copy of Polluted Delta, so he's drawing quite a few lands, but you can see he does have a Brainstorm in his hand.
Yeah, fix this up a little bit because hand is very land heavy, as you mentioned.
So there's a Verdant Catacombs to start. Here's 2 mana, so there's another copy of Baleful Strix.
Coming up the works a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly how Tenjum wants the game to go. He's the control deck in this matchup. Going to draw a copy of Thoughtseize. That's not a bad card to fire off right now.
But his hand is land heavy enough that he may want to just say, I'm not going to let Daze do anything this game.
There is the Mighty Batter Skull. Tenjum is going to sacrifice the Verdant Catacombs right now. And one thing he has to do is he has to respect Stifle, where most of the times you don't against Blue-White Red, but he has access to the deck list because we have the elimination round, so he knows that Boettcher has 3 of those.
Yeah, I'm sure Andrew would like to keep some of his fetch lands here to shuffle away with the Brainstorm that he's picked up, but this is a good opportunity for him to get rid of that Verdant Catacombs. So as you mentioned, Jared can't tag it with a Stifle.
In addition to those premium giveaways, and we are going to crown another champion here tonight as well, we will update you guys on our matches as they do go. The ones that are not on camera, of course, our eyes are peeled here on Boettcher and Tenjum, but our other matches between Ruckus and Johnson, Young and Wiley, and Thompson and Jordan, when we do have updates for those, we will certainly let you guys know.
A star-studded top 8.
Pretty good one.
Not surprising coming to Syracuse for a legacy event. The elimination rounds are going to be loaded. One of the country's best scenes.
Boettcher going to check here, and he is going to flip his Delver with a Brainstorm, as we are being informed that Dan Jordan is currently up a game over Cale Thompson. Blue-White Red Delver up a game over Rug Delver. Not much of a surprise there, though.
Yeah, not to look too far ahead here, but we could be setting up for a great collision course here in the semifinals between a player going for back-to-back weekends here in Jared Boettcher and a player trying to become basically back-to-back Legacy Open champions in the Northeast in Dan Jordan.
Jared's going to fire off a bunch of removal spells right now. Wasteland's going to take care of the Tar Pit. Bolt is going to take care of one Strix. Swords is going to take care of the other, and that's going to clear the path for all these idiots. It's an attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, and with the Stoneforge, we're going to make it 8, and Tenjum is under the gun.
Generally speaking, not ideal to be trading removal spells for Baleful Strixes, but this looks pretty good.
You saw Ancestral Visions the draw there for Tenjum.
A little slow for this dance.
Yeah, yep. He's under the gun now. He's got to find ways to get these things off the board. Now, we know he has an Abrupt Decay hiding out in his hand. And you can see, he knows. I got to get moving. Doesn't take long to close out. Another attack there for 8 plus a Lightning Bolt. That's lights out.
And if Tenjum did have Abrupt Decay in his opening hand here, I'm starting to feel like I must have misseen it, because if he didn't Abrupt Decay that Stoneforge Mystic, I mean,
yeah,
there's been some cascading consequences as a result of that.
I mean, it got a little too fancy. Let's work on a brainstorm here to hide some things. Tenjum knew about this brainstorm, of course. So hit 1 is a True Name, 2 is a Ponder, 3 is a Daze.
Yeah, and I think I like having the Cantrip and the Daze in hand. Don't really care about the Ponder, and if Tenjum wants to take a Daze here, that's fine too.
Yeah,
and the Daze is even bad insurance for Jared to take in the event that Tenjum takes the Ponder here.
Yep.
So, all good stuff with True Name Nemesis hidden on top of the deck.
Yeah, and that one's a real winner in this matchup, that's for sure. Taking a look at Tenjum's deck list here. See if he has a card like Toxic Deluge to help him here, but he does not. He's got 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor, 2 Liliana the Veil. As far as, you know, big effects go, this particular build of Shardless Bug. Thought he's going to take care of that Ponder. Gonna leave Boettcher with a Daze. Tenjum going to play a Fetch Land. And he will sacrifice this, maybe. Yep, he's going to go down 8.
Yeah, Batterskull is a specifically significant threat in the matchup here because it's outside of Abrupt Decay range. Now, Tenjum playing a Shardless build has a couple different tools to fight it. Things like Baleful Strix, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Liliana the Veil in some situations. But you can see when he gets under the gun with Batterskull in play on Jared's side, it's hard for him to defend himself.
And Jared coming from a couple different angles here, too. You see Tenjum sacrifice the land right away. Wants to make sure he doesn't get stifled. Boettcher draws a card. Looks like it was True Name. Now it's time for the attack yet again. And this is the Abrupt Decay that we saw much earlier. That's going to go after the Delver Secret. So Tenjum, no interest in going after the Germ Token. A little surprising. Going to go down to 3 here.
Well, this to me indicates that he's trying to set up Jace the Mind Sculptor because the Unsummon so much more powerful against a Germ Token in this spot than a Delver of Secrets, but True Name Nemesis puts the hammerlock on that plan.
Yeah, blows up everything, right? He's going to show a copy of Force of Will. Says, I wish I would have had that. But that's not going to help him.
I think Jared's saying, well, I would have just dazed it.
Yeah, so your Force of Will would have been no good. Yeah, and Tenjum's going to pick up his 3 lands. We're going to move to a second game here. So Jared Boettcher does win game number 1 over Andrew Tenjum. Blue-Red Delver up a game here over Shardless Bug. As we're going to bring it back to the booth there very quickly before we do take a look at the sideboards here, because of course it is trivia time. 3 months is the amount we'll be giving away this time. Now, I can't remember. Is it rules for me or question for me?
Question, question, question. That's been our pattern.
So I have the question.
Right, and then I do the 6, and then you do the 12.
So I have the question for this one.
Correct.
Okay. So that means he has the rules.
Cedric's going to ask you a question.
First time, sorry.
Cedric is going to, it's good to clarify. Always good to clarify.
Correct.
Cedric's going to ask you a question. Tweet your answer at SCG Live, hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responses, one will be selected at random for 3 free months of Star City Games premium content. It's about accuracy and not speed, so do not worry about submitting first, just accurately. And keep in mind that this contest is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com, and that Twitch TV is in no way affiliated with giveaway on its streams.
We had a standard open earlier today. Somebody won it, because someone has to win the tournament. The question is, who won our standard open earlier today? This is a real gimme.
This is a gimme.
This is about as easy as it gets for 3 months of premium. If you can name the answer to the person that did win it, he wears a stupid Pokemon hat.
If you get this one wrong, there's nothing we can do to help you.
That's true.
There's just nothing we can do.
Yeah, we can't save you here. Hashtag the answer with hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live, and we'll announce the winner at the conclusion of our quarterfinal round as we do head back down to the match right now. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. And what we will see for Andrew Tenjum, 2 copies of Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Nile Spellbombs, 2 Pithy Needle, Force of Will, a Hinotorak, a Thoughtseize, 2 copies of Spell Pierce, and 2 copies of Toxic Deluge.
Well, I think the Toxic Deluge has helped Tenjum out a lot in this matchup. They're both playing decks with some creatures in them, but Jared is definitely the beatdown in the matchup, so sweepers are going to be good for Tenjum here. I think that the copy of Thoughtseize and Hinotorak are probably applicable here. I think Pithy Needle is a good weapon as well, shutting down Stoneforge Mystic, and certain pieces of equipment as well.
On the other side, we're going to see some 1s and 2s here for Jared. Sword of Feast and Famine, 2 Grim Lavamancer, a Wear and Tear, Vendilion Click, a Red Elemental Blast, a Swords of Plowshare, it's Pyroblast, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Rest in Peace, and then 3 copies of Meddling Mage.
Well, I definitely like the Sword of Feast and Famine here. It's a nice upgrade. Protection from green and black, significant against cards like Baleful Strix and Starless Agent that are trying to block. I think that the additional threats are reasonable to bring in here. Some mixture of Grim Lavamancer, Meddling Mage, and Vendilion Click could all come in. As far as things like Flusterstorm and Pyroblast, they feel a little narrow to me, a little situational, though Flusterstorm is a very good weapon against Toxic Deluge, which if Jared is worried about specifically, he could bring in here. But I think Jared, on the balance, is better served being as threat dense as possible. Playing a reactive game is playing into Andrew's hands in the matchup in my mind.
Yeah, I think that's the case here. We will see how the players do have to sideboard here. Game number 2 will be underway shortly. Again, one result that we do have is Dan Jordan is up a game here over Cale Thompson. Blue at Red Delver up a game over Rug Delver. We also have Theodore Young playing Blue at Red Delver against John Wiley playing Bug Delver. That's our 4 versus 5 matchup. And then our 1 versus 8 is John Ruckus playing Blue White Miracles against Alex Johnson playing Burn. Burn.
Seen a lot of it in the elimination rounds lately.
I will say this, if Burn is able to somehow get by the Miracles deck, Delver decks are pretty good matchups, even though Blue White Red is probably a little tougher.
Well, I think, you know, for my money, the toughest build to beat is Blue White Red. Rug is very close, and then Bug is a very favorable matchup for Burn. The thing is, the Rug builds are very low to the ground. They're very threatening. You can't kill Nimble Mongoose. You're under the gun very quickly. Blue White Red has Stoneforge Mystic for Batterskull, and that's all sorts of problems for Burn, of course. Bug really doesn't bring that much pressure to the table. They don't have some ace like Stoneforge Mystic, and they're pretty slow. They have a lot of the weaknesses that Delver has in the matchup, like susceptibility to Price of Progress, and sometimes they kind of fumble around with cantrips for too long without having specific powerful cards that allow decks like Rug and Blue White Red to compensate.
Boettcher is currently up a game here. Tenjum will be on the play. Pretty important for him to maybe get started with suspending Ancestral Visions. I mean, he's going to be the control deck no matter what in this matchup. He can turn the corner pretty quickly with Tarmogoyf, of course, but he just wants to outcard advantage his opponent and move forward from there.
I don't even know if he wants Ancestral Visions in this matchup necessarily, because Jared is playing with Stifle in his list.
I think you do. I think it's way too good in this matchup.
Just too good?
Yeah, I think it's too good. It forces your opponent's hand, and if it resolves, I mean, all you want to do is just destroy your opponent in the card advantage battle. That's it. Jared won't be able to keep up with you. At least I think that's, you know, if I'm in Tenjum's seat, that's how I would want to play things.
No, it's reasonable. Though it's worth noting his deck's pretty lean. I mean, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to pick something to cut if you want to bring in these deluges and additional removal spells.
Yeah, get Force Will out of my deck.
Force Will's a good choice.
Yeah, I don't want to 2-for myself, so that one's long gone. I'm not in love with Thoughtseize. I'm not in love with him. Those cards are fine. I mean, it's tough to sideboard Jace out. I think the same thing can be said for Liliana.
I don't like him. I still think I like Thoughtseize here just because the fight for me primarily is over Batterskull. Yeah. That's what Andrew has to stop first and foremost. If he's able to cast his spells, Jared can win games by just Stifle Wasteland, you can't get off the ground. That's one element. Then there's what happens if the game drags out a little bit, and in that kind of game, Trinity Nemesis and Batterskull are his best weapons. And Thoughtseize can give you a lot of assistance there.
Yeah.
But it is not a raw card count type of matchup from Andrew's side as it relates to Jared, so something like him, probably not ideal.
Well, Tenjum. Draws opening 7. You see a Baleful Strix over there. There's also a Tarmogoyf. There's also an 8th card. Now there's 60 of them as he's shuffling. Boettcher going to take a look at his opening hand. He's got a Tundra. That might be his only land over there. There might be a Fetch Shot hiding out. You can also see a Lightning Bolt. Can't make out the rest of the contents just yet.
I think a Stoneforge Mystic, cantrip.
And it says he says, I will keep.
I don't know if there's one land in there or 2 lands, but with a Tundra and a Ponder against an opponent who's mulliganing, I think Jared's keeping no matter what.
So we'll see if Tenjum can find a better 6. Visions does do a nice job of undoing a mulligan if he's able to find one of those, or just Shardless Bug and Shardless Agent and cascade into it naturally. Again, this Shardless Bug deck, a deck that was popularized by Jerry Thompson. Feels like forever ago, but about 2 years ago, which is crazy.
It's got to be a little longer than that, I think.
It feels around the 2-year mark. Definitely wasn't last year. So I think yeah, about 2 years ago is where he really kind of hit the ground running with this deck. We've seen a lot of different bug takes on the Open Series and in Legacy in general. You've seen, kind of bug mid-range or just control decks. You've seen bug Delver, Team America, if you want to throw that in the mix.
Ugh. No, thank you.
But bug is a very potent strategy. It's only gotten better with the addition of Deathrite Shaman and Abrupt Decay. 6 cards here for Tenjum. Creeping Tar Pit and Delta along with a Verdant Catacombs. I don't think he can mulligan. He's got lands to operate. He's going to start with a Verdant Catacombs, sacrifice that, go down to 19. We'll see what land he wants to search up and what he wants to do on his first turn, or if he's just playing around Stifle.
What's your favorite Legacy deck name to edit out of articles?
Great question. Really good question, actually.
So many to choose from.
It's kind of like a running tie between all of them.
Yeah, it's sort of a tie for first place between every single one.
Yeah, Canadian Threshold and Team America get the edit out so fast. So fast.
Oh, I love it.
There is an Ancestral Visions on Suspend. I actually get happiness in deleting Canadian Threshold because it's such a stupid name.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine. If I was an editor for a large Magic content website, that would be my favorite part of the day. Wake up, go put a cup of coffee, put my slippers on, and start editing out those deck names.
Got your pajamas too, or?
Yep. Yeah. Flip-flops, hang out with my cat, just edit those deck names out.
There is another vision, so Tenjum is going to do a nice job of undoing this mulligan, as long as he's not under the gun too bad. Brainstorm the draw here for Jared.
Yeah, that's the risk with these Delver decks sometimes, is they spend a lot of the early game kind of spinning their wheels a little bit. You're seeing Jared do that right now with Ponder. He may follow this up with another cantrip. And that's all well and good, but when your opponent's doing something productive, like Andrew is, pretty threatening that those Ancestrals go off, time is of the essence. You gotta get something going.
Here's a Ponder for Jared. Visions are gonna take down to 2 and 3 respectively. I mean, this is exactly how I think Tenjum would like a game to go, which is, hey, you're not doing anything, and I've got Visions on Suspend. Best of luck keeping up.
Yep. This would be a spot that would be very good for Stifle, however.
Yeah. Tenjum's looking at a Liliana. Looks like he's a little gun-shy to cast it.
Well, looks like he has a Creeping Tar Pit and a Brainstorm debating about, okay, he has a Polluted Delta as well.
Yeah. This is him playing around Stifle a little bit here. But hey, I'd rather get this stifled than my Visions.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. So if you want to stifle my land and not stifle draw 3 2 turns from now, by all means.
Especially when there's nothing going on. It would be different if Jared was threatening him with an Insectile Aberration or whatever, but shaping out to be a slow game. And Jared does have Stifle. I feel like he needs to save it for the Ancestrals.
Yeah, that's the card that ends up winning the game for Tenjum. It's got nothing to do with the lands. Tenjum will probably draw more of those. So the fetch of the Polluted Delta does resolve. Tenjum goes down to 18. Gets a Bayou out of deck. He's got 3 mana available. See if he wants to maybe try to cast Liliana. He does tap 3. And there is a Shardless Agent instead. So a Cascade will take place here.
A little bit of a frown to Shardless Agent on an empty board because there's some removal spells that can get flipped over here. But I think Tenjum just wants to get something going, especially with the Ancestrals about to go off. He doesn't want to get bottlenecked. Just cast something.
Yeah, Boettcher's going to sacrifice his fetch land and go get a Volcanic Island out of the old deck. See if it's time for a Stifle here for Jared. Again, Stifle is pretty good in this matchup. Fetch lands, Cascade from Shardless Agent, Suspend from Visions. That said, as there is a Stifle, you're kind of overloading them. If he wants to stifle this, mystery card, again, if I'm Tenjum and I'm in his seat, that's cool.
Especially when again, so much of what Tenjum can flip over here is removal spells. There must be something very good in Jared's hand that he's trying to protect here if he's willing to fight over that, because he is trying to fight over something like Thoughtseize, I feel like. An interesting card to stifle in that spot, that's for sure, with the Ancestrals looming.
Yeah.
There's no Snapcaster Mage in this list. He's not trying to set up some chain of events here. It's
yeah,
just,
that's the card that jumps to mind, right? You know, you can use the Stifle now because I have Snapcaster Mage in my deck, but those don't exist here. So Boettcher is going to play a Stoneforge Mystic, going to search out an equipment. Went by the Sword of Feast and Famine, so he's going to go with the old Batterskull.
shaping up to be a long game. And this might be one of those games where Batterskull gets cast, even if the Stoneforge Mystic dies.
I got a feeling we're going to see not one, but probably multiple Creeping Tar Pit activations this game from Tenjum. That bad boy is going to slide on into the red zone. Tenjum will untap. He's going to take those visions down to 1 and 2. Take a draw here. So we'll see what he can find for his 4th turn of the game. Looks a little bit land heavy at this point, but that's fine. Allows him to play around some of those taxing counter spells if they're still in Boettcher's deck.
Yep.
Also lets him play multiple spells a turn. Tenjum going to cast a Liliana the Veil right now. And that will get dazed. Excuse me, that will get spell pierced. Here's an attack for 2.
And it looks like Jared's going to be able to sneak that Batterskull into play again.
There's another Creeping Tar Pit. Pass the turn back. Boettcher draws the cards. Copy of Delver's Secrets.
Now Jared debating between which cantrip he wants to open up with here, I think.
Looks like he's going to go with Ponder. He's going to look at a couple of cards here. Force of Will, a Brainstorm, and a Stoneforge Mystic. Force of Will is probably pretty appealing for Jared, given that a Visions is going to come off suspend. So he does draw that card. He will pass the turn back. And Tenjum is going to try to resolve the first Visions. See him shortcutting a little bit there, using the one that goes down to 2. The other one that was on 2 was going to go down to 1, so he just leaves that one there.
Yep.
Tenjum will draw here. Looks like it may have been another land. It does look like he's flooding out a little bit here. And with the Batterskull looming, can't really fire up the old Shardless Agent in the red zone. Probably can fire up a Creeping Tar Pit, though. Get 3 points of damage across. That looks like exactly what he's going to do.
Well, the damage race here is not going to be that effective for Tenjum here if he's staring down a Germ token soon. Not a lot in his sideboard to handle a Batterskull. Sometimes you see something like a Crozan Grip, some piece of artifact removal in these lists, but...
Yeah, we've seen Maelstrom Pulses in the past.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Kale Thompson ties it up against Dan Jordan. Rug Delver does take down game number 2 over Blue Eye Red Delver, so they're headed to a 3rd one. Winner of that match plays the winner of this one. Jared Boettcher currently up a game. Looks like he's going to cast a Brainstorm here to start off his 5th turn. So Stoneforge Mystic, a Wasteland, and a Polluted Delta are added to the grip. Now Boettcher's got to decide exactly what to put back.
Not a lot to be done with the Wasteland here, as Andrew is redundant both with colors of mana and with Creeping Tar Pits. So, and it looks like, you know, if Jared does decide, let's say he wants to cast Stoneforge Mystic this turn, it looks like he's looking at shuffling Wasteland away because there's just not a lot to be done with it in this spot.
So 2 cards are going to go back. The Brainstorm does resolve. You see Boettcher at 13, Tenjum at 18. Boettcher's life total will go up in just a moment through that Batterskull. Gonna sacrifice Polluted Delta and go down to 12. And we'll see what land Boettcher wants to search up here, making it a perfect Brainstorm. There's a Volcanic Island.
Boettcher's making this stuff look too easy.
Why lose when you can win?
Yeah. It's another matchup where it's, you know, 75 cards, 75 cards. Definitely want Tenjum's deck. Got land, you know, Tenjum got run over game 1. Looks like there's a good chance he gets run over again.
Another Brainstorm here for Jared. Tenjum's gonna let that go. So here's a Pyroblast, a Tundra, and a Source of Plowshares. It looks like neither Visions is gonna resolve. Unreal. Here's an attack for 4. Tenjum's gonna go down to 14, Boettcher up to 16.
You know, it's no big deal. It's the only thing that Tenjum has going on.
Yeah. So no? Tenjum's gonna look at a land in his hand. Both Visions gone. Tenjum may have drawn another land. Not too sure.
I imagine Tenjum's draw step this turn was Old Maid. Perhaps the rules card,
Yeah.
based on the way this match has been going.
A Deathrite Shaman, which is a good magic card. It also dies to the swords, as
And
well as the bolt in Jared's hand. Let's see if Jared wants to fire up one of these removal spells in the tar pit.
Doesn't even really seem worth it.
You can pick a better spot.
Yeah.
Jared says, all right, I'll take 3, down to 13. That'll be it. Here's the swords. There gets the Deathrite Shaman out of the way.
And I like using the swords here because the bolt gives Jared the most protection in case Andrew draws a Planeswalker.
Yeah. An attack for 4 here. Tenjum going to go on 11, Boettcher up to 17. Tenjum drew a card, did get a great look at it. It's going to be a him. A little late to the party. I bet you does have 2 cards, and he's got swords and a bolt.
It's 2 castables, obviously.
Yeah. So he's going to go upstairs with the bolt. Swords, the agent, get that out of the way. That'll open up Stoneforge Mist to actually be able to start attacking. Tenjum still looking at a land in his hand. He could play that land, activate the tar pit, and get in there a little bit. He's just going to pass the turn back.
Or activate the land to
block.
Keep off Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah, because it makes it a 2-turn clock this way. He goes from 10 to 5. Now Tenjum will draw a card. See if we can find something to do here. Maybe a brainstorm? Yeah, at least that's something. That's going to resolve. So Andrew's going to draw 3. Looks like a couple of fetch lands he's going to put back. Does have a fetch land in his hand. So he can play that to make it a perfect brainstorm. So there that is. The difference between 6 and 5 here could be very big, though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this Polluted Delta is a chip shot down to 4. Now, Batterskull is lethal. Little points of damage have a habit of mattering a lot in Legacy because of Force of Will and Thoughtseize and the fetch lands. Like, you're doing little pieces of damage to yourself all over the game. You never know when it's going to finally matter that you took 1 or 2 extra points of damage that maybe you didn't need to.
Especially when the card like Lightning Bolt shows up to the table. That's exactly what Boettcher drew for the turn. So he says, all right, I'm serving in for lethal. Let me know how this goes. Tenjum going to activate a tar pit here, maybe. No, he's just going to go ahead and fire up an Abrupt Decay. Yeah, there's a bolt upstairs, and that's going to do it. Jared Boettcher going to win this match over Andrew Tenjum, 2-0. The reigning Rookie of the Year on the professional circuit is looking to go back-to-back here in Syracuse, and he is 1 step closer to doing so.